with 3 flavors. Your avocado, which is my absolute favorite. Very unusual to find avocado, and it's very hard to make. There's a place in Rome called Neve di Latte that also has it.
Peter Cohen has been chasing great gelato around the world since 2011. Although Italy is where he does most of his in-person research, he's also found top-rated gelato places in Canada and in his hometown of Montreal, where we are today. Fiore is run by Walid Boustani and his family. The chef trained in Italy ran several gelaterias in Beirut and won awards for 2 of his flavors. This Montreal shop opened just last year. Peter Cohen's passion for the Italian artisanal ice cream began on a father and son trip to Italy. The journey has continued for 15 years, tasting gelato from Australia to England. He's also created his own personal online world gelato map. It now counts over 1,770 gelato destinations with a rating system, although Cohen hasn't yet been able to get to all of them himself.
They have passion fruit, they have watermelon.
Ironically, the retired menswear manufacturer's current local favorite is in an area that used to be known as the heart of Montreal's Jewish textile and garment district.
I've tried some very unusual flavors, but no, matzo ball and brisket were not, and I don't think I would have chosen those.
I'm Ellen Besner, and this is what Jewish Canada sounds like for Wednesday, April 19th, 2026. Welcome to North Star, a podcast of the Canadian Jewish News, and made possible thanks to the generous support of the Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin Charitable Foundation.
The question is, what is the salab?
It's orange flower.
Orange blossom.
Cohen has learned a lot about gelato making. He even attended a half-day course for amateurs at the famed Gelato University in Bologna. But there's always more to discover, which is why he likes nothing more than cycling to a new destination and chatting with the artisans. There's often more than food science behind their gelato stories. How Cohen judges whether a gelateria gets top rating on his map is also down to how it tastes and texture. Okay, so I was ordered to taste it on camera. So
Lychee, strawberry, rose water.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. And now we'll do coffee. It's going to taste like you're drinking coffee. And finally...
Hold on.
And finally...
Wow.
Avocado.
It's so creamy. It actually tastes like avo toast, like you're on avocado.
The way I judge gelato is on 2 variables. One of them is flavor. And it's just simple authenticity. When you're having coffee gelato, it should taste like you're drinking coffee. If you're having pistachio, it should taste like pistachios. And that's what really separates excellent gelato from ordinary gelato. With ordinary gelato, if you do a blind taste test, you might not be sure what you're eating, or there's just hints of the flavor. When you come to a place like this, you really taste it. It's intense. And it's authentic, and it tastes like what it is.
After that taste test, I sat down with Cohen to get the whole backstory of the map and why he does this. So, welcome to the Canadian Jewish News' mobile studio. I'm with Peter Cohen here in Montreal at one of his top-rated Canadian gelato places. Peter is a gelato a passionista of gelato.
Sounds
he
right.
has been doing gelato ratings and traveling around the world for how many years?
Oh my goodness, my son's 24 now, and when my son was 11, that's when we started the gelato map.
Oh, so you do it together?
Well, we took 6 trips together to Italy. What happened was my son had camp in a week, and we had a week to kill, and I suggested we go to Italy. And he said, not the slightest bit interested. So like any good parent, I decided to bribe him. I said, I tell you what, we won't see art, we won't do any of that horrible stuff. We'll wake up, we'll have a list of gelaterias we want to see. We'll have them all mapped out. And we'll go from gelateria to gelateria. We'll have lunch in between. And if you want to see the Colosseum, only if you want to, but the trip will be a gelato trip. And he said yes. And we had a blast.
And so as any smart parent, what was the first place you took him to? Do you remember?
Well, we started in Rome. And in terms of the gelateria, my parents had taken me to one called Giolitti.
Of course. Everybody knows that one.
Exactly. North of the Pantheon. And we did 5 or 6 a day. We went to small neighborhoods. We went to the big ones like Giolitti. and we had a really great time. And in between, he saw the Colosseum, which was his favorite thing. So we had a great time. His favorite flavor from that trip, I remember because he was quite adamant about it, was apricot at a place called San Crispino, which was near the Pantheon, which is now moved to be near the Trevi Fountain.
Oh, so it's still around.
It's still around. And one of the things we remembered about it that was so unique is if you look over here, this gelato is open and you can see the gelato. But a lot of places of the higher quality will sometimes have covers on their gelato. San Crispino takes it to a different level. They have a wall behind all their gelato, and on the wall are a bunch of thermometers showing the digital readouts. And they're showing the temperature of each individual gelato because they're so intense about it that they feel that the apricot has to be at a different flavor than the chocolate. And that was the place that my son really, really liked. They have a signature flavor, their San Crispino flavor, which is actually honey, just honey. And it's one of my favorite gelatos in all of Italy because it's just so pure and it's done so well. It's fantastic.
And since then, you've done a map, but how many places are on there and how many of them have you actually physically, personally tried?
Well, we did 6 trips together and we probably put together a couple hundred gelaterias.
Getting more. Awesome.
Out of the machine.
The owner, Walid Bustani, came by our table at this point with another cup of gelato and 2 tasting spoons. Wow. Blackberry. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in our 6 trips, we certainly saw plenty of gelaterias. But then what I did on one of our trips when we were in Torino, we went into a bookshop and saw a book by the Gambero Rosso, which means red shrimp in Italian.
Kind of like the Michelin guy.
Exactly. And they have a book specifically for gelaterias. At the time, there were maybe, I don't know, 100, 150 gelaterias in it. But I bought a new edition last year, which had hundreds. And I've now input them all into the map. So I haven't been to many of these, but they have a 1, 2, 3 cone rating. I put all their ratings in. And if I come across an article about a gelateria on the web, I'll put that reference in. There's a list of the top 50 gelaterias in the world. There's a list of the top 100 in Italy. I use all these lists and I input them into the map. I have a color-coded system where if it's from the Gambero Rosso, it's certain colors, 1 or 2 or 3 cones. And I have my own rating system as well.
Tell us about, first we have to try this because our audience is like sitting here and you're not eating it. So, okay, we got to try. This is raspberry. Ready?
I think it's blackberry.
Blackberry. Oh my God.
Everything here is so great.
Oh my God.
The flavor is intense. Gelato is different than ice cream. It's a lower temperature than ice cream. It has less air than ice cream. And because of that, it hits your palate much more aggressively and the taste is much more intense.
Okay, back to your rating system, your personal.
My personal rating system, I have navy on my map, which means the top 20 in Italy in terms of that I've been to that are my favorites. Then purple is the ones that are really gourmet, that are exceptional, that either have exceptional flavors that are very unusual or the ingredients and the product itself is fantastic. And then it moves down to a few others. And for example, I'll have green, which is one that has been rated by someone. They say it's good, but I haven't been there myself. And I haven't been able to corroborate it with either a guide like the Gambero Rosso or a top 50 list or something.
Now you have, if people look at your map, there's a lot in Italy, but there's other places on the map like New Zealand and South America. Have you been to any of those?
In fact, my son, the very same youngest son who made the 6 trips with me, decided to go for his year abroad or his semester abroad to Australia. And he went to Sydney, Australia. My wife put it that the only way he could have been further from us if he'd gone to the International Space Station. But we followed him and we visited with him for a bit. And in Sydney, there's actually a place called Riverino. And Riverino was originally started in Florence. They have a location, the main original location in Florence. They have one in Milan, and they've got one in Sydney, Australia. And I can report that it's identical.
And how is it? What color did you give it?
I gave it purple because Riverino is one of my all-time favorites. It's really exceptional. And each of the locations are identical in terms of the quality and flavors and taste. I found it incredible to be in Sydney having the same flavors as I had in Florence, and they tasted the same. It was really excellent.
Okay, so you went to Rome with your son. What was the top one in Italy that you could tell our listeners? Was it Giolitti?
Well, Giolitti is excellent. And I find it hard to pick just one because once you get to a certain level, they're all excellent. They're just different. So there's probably at least 100 in Italy that are all really, really superb and they're all excellent. I have my personal favorites, and it can come down to flavors. For example, here we had avocado. And in Rome, there's a place called Neve de Latte that has 3 locations. They have avocado, and I think it's one of the top ones in Rome and perhaps in Italy. Florence has a place called Deneri, which is really authentic and old school, and it's absolutely superb for what it is. There's a place in Padua called Giotto. That's really superb, and it's unusual because it's made by prisoners in a prison. The owner who started it wanted to give these people a skill that they would have once they left prison. And so he started a bakery and a gelateria within the prison. And this gelateria in Padua is fantastic. And it also has a honey flavor, but it's honey rosemary. And it's absolutely superb. And I stayed in Padua for 3 days to see the city. And I went back twice a day, every day to this gelateria, which was just absolutely superb. And I did it. I always started with that flavor, the honey rosemary.
All right. So what do you think about Canadian locations? There's some in Canada on your map.
Yes.
We're here at Fiore, which is in Chabanel district. It's in the middle of an old Schmata business
I
area.
was very surprised to find this. I actually saw it on a reel on Instagram. Someone sent it to me and said, you have to check it out. But as soon as I tasted it and saw the flavors and spoke to the owner, I realized it was really excellent. It was authentic. He's gone to Bologna and taken the course at Carpigiana on how to make gelato, and he does it right. He uses excellent ingredients, and it's really good stuff. Toronto has some excellent gelaterias as well.
What's one in Toronto?
Off the top of my head, don't remember the names, but they're on the map, and they're really excellent. And there's one in Vancouver where he won one of the gelato competitions, and the Italians weren't too happy that a guy from Canada won, but he's really excellent. And there's a couple in Ottawa. There's one called Stella Luna. So there's a few in Canada, and when I hear about them or I visit them, I put them on the map.
So this is like a singular passion of yours. What does besides your son, what does your family and friends think about that? That this is the thing you do when you're not, well, you're retired now.
I'm retired.
But you weren't.
I wasn't. They think I'm crazy, which is fine. My license plate on my car says gelato. It's just, look, everyone has a passion. This is my passion in terms of something that I really enjoy. And I give my son credit for teaching me the difference between regular and excellent gelato. And I always give this metaphor. I say, listen, if you have a strawberry in February in Canada, it's a strawberry. It tastes and looks like a strawberry. If you have a strawberry at the end of June that's fresh from the farmers, it's extraordinary. If you have just any gelato, everyone likes gelato. It's fine. No one doesn't like gelato, and people say you can't have a bad one. But then when you have one of the really superb ones and you see the difference, it's like that February strawberry versus the end of June strawberry, and it's extraordinary. And once you have it, you want more of
But
it.
you're slim. I mean, if you eat gelato 6 times a day, how do you not get like diabetes or things like, you got to be careful. It's a long 20 years you're doing this.
Yeah, I'm a cyclist as well, and I don't do it all the time. In Montreal, I won't have it every single day and 5 times a day. But for these trips that I do, for a couple of weeks at a time, I'll have it 5-6 times a day, and I'll enjoy it. The thing is, I'm extremely active on the trips. I cycle a lot. So I'll cycle for a few hours, and when I finish cycling and I'm walking from gelateria to gelateria, I'll walk for 6-8 hours, plus the cycling. So I don't actually gain any weight on these trips typically.
And is there anything particularly Jewish about your gelato or gelato at all?
I tried my hardest to come up for a Jewish angle for you. And other than the fact that I would go to Milan because I was in the Schmata business to look at the fabric shows, and that gave me the access to be able to try the gelato. And that's a pretty difficult connection to make. I could not think of a Jewish angle. I'm sorry.
In terms of flavors, though, I mean, did you ever try matzo ball gelato or brisket gelato? I mean, I don't know what people make.
I've tried some very unusual flavors, but no, matzo ball and brisket were not. And I don't think I would have chosen those.
Yeah, or chocolate babka, but you could make chocolate. They have Bishkov here. People are using all kinds of things.
I suppose if there was a Jewish gelateria, they can make some flavors that were oriented that way, but I've never come across one.
Oh, there's our next business opportunity for you. And I ask because, you know, you're such an expert in it. You went to university even for 3 weeks.
No, I didn't do the 3-week course. My son and I, for fun, did the 3-hour course. There's a place in Bologna called Carpigiana, and they make the equipment. And so to help people open more gelaterias, they actually have a university there where they teach you. And for tourists, they have a 3-hour course where you go in, you tour their museum, a gelato museum, and you take a course and you actually make gelato. But for serious people that want to open a gelateria, like the gentleman here who took the course, there's 1 week where you learn how to make gelato, 1 week where you learn how to make pastries and things from gelato. And the final week, you work as an apprentice at a gelateria to learn how to run a gelateria. And they take that course, and people from all around the world go and take it so they can go back to wherever they come from and open a gelateria.
Okay, so you're retired and you have more time maybe on your hands. What about ever opening your own?
Not the slightest interest. I don't want to work at gelato. I want to enjoy it. I think that would take all the joy out of it for me. I enjoy going around and finding new ones and tasting it. And one of my joys about it is not just the gelato itself. The fun part is to go into a city and to go into a small little neighborhood that you never would have considered going to, just to explore, to find that gelateria. And it's typically a very local place with local people. You see architecture and things that you would never have seen before. So to me, the journey is part of the thing. It's not just the destination, it's also the journey.
And the stories, I imagine you must have met some amazing people. Like you met him.
Yes, it's fun to, when you start to talk to the owners, when they see that you're serious, if you have the opportunity, it's a lot of fun to hear their stories and to see the different flavors and things that they try.
I have two final questions. So one is, have you ever had really bad gelato that you were like, oh, this is terrible, too many chemicals? Lots of people have, what is the whole trick to know that it's a place that you should avoid? Is when it's lots of chemicals and really high piled up, right?
One of the reasons for that is, as I explained about San Crispino, where they have the temperature of every single one of their gelatos. If you pile the gelato up, then the temperature can't be uniform. There's the part below the steel container and the part above. So that's going to have emulsifiers and different things in it to solidify it. And they'll also leave it out for days. That's going to be bad quality. So you want to see stuff that's either not stacked up at all. The colors should be the color that the product is. So they should be representative.
So like blue, no, we're not having these electric blue.
These weird colors that aren't found in nature. So that's another trick to see. Another thing is that a good gelateria will put the gelato out fresh every day. There's no leftover from the day before. One of the owners showed me and explained to me that it's really only good for a few hours and then the quality and the taste degrades. So a really excellent gelateria will trot out brand new stuff the next day and it'll all be fresh. But to answer your question, if I've had bad gelato, the answer is absolutely yes. Sometimes when I'm in an area and there's no gelaterias on my map, I'll just try a new place. And if it's really bad, because it's got chemicals and it's not good stuff, I'll literally throw it out. Because another test is really good gelato will never give you a stomach ache, never make you feel nauseous, because it's all natural ingredients. Bad gelato with all those chemicals in it will give you a stomach ache and make you feel uncomfortable. So rather than eat a whole thing of bad gelato, if I can see I've made a mistake, I just throw it out.
A lot of like restaurant reviewers, they get freebies because they're getting, going around and then giving publicity. But do you ever get any benefits from this passion of yours?
No benefits, just pleasure. If I think they're nice and we get into a conversation, it's my pleasure to tell them about the map and to give them a rating and to give them a link to it. Because one of the reasons I do it also is for a sense of community. I love to talk to people about it. A lot of people are very passionate and I love to get feedback and I love to stay in touch with some of the owners. So absolutely, yes.
We're here. This is one of the better ones, but it was just because I came in. It wasn't that he's not getting any benefit out of this.
No,
this
absolutely
is
not.
completely paying for everything.
This is my favorite place in Montreal. And I think the flavors are the most interesting and the quality is the best. And that's why I chose it. And that's just my personal opinion. I think if you ask 10 people, you get 10 different opinions.
Okay, that's my last question is that when we told people we were going to do this story, they were like, oh, but I know a place somewhere. So you get a lot of people who say, nah, I know about, like how
Absolutely.
It's a conversation starter.
Yes, people have opinions and people have their favorites. And sometimes they'll disagree with my ratings. And that's fine because it's personal. It's a sense of taste. I mean, it's not personal when you get to good quality and bad quality in terms of the ones that are piled high and everything. But in terms of what people like, the important thing is that they enjoy it. And that's what I love, to give the map to someone and they go into a town and they go search out the best ones and they give me feedback that they had a really fun time finding the gelateria and they really enjoyed it. That brings me pleasure.
You never been kicked out of one?
Never been kicked out of one. Oh, sorry. I have to take that back. I have been kicked out because I often go on my bike. I cycle. And so I try to take my bike into the gelateria. I can't leave it outside. And once or twice they've said no bikes inside.
Have you ever met anybody else who's done gelateria mapping that you know of?
I haven't met them personally, but there's plenty of people where if you Google the best gelateria and say Bologna or something, sometimes people write an article. They say, these are my 5 favorites, and they'll have a little gelato map for that town with their 5 favorites. But I've never met anyone who's done it as comprehensively.
One thing we noticed, there's nothing that I could find in Eretz Israel, in Israel, on your map. Is there going to be, or is there a reason?
There's no reason. And if someone I know goes or gives me recommendations or I find any, I'd be happy to put it. I haven't been, I was in Israel, but I wasn't in Israel when I was doing the map. It was before. If I go anywhere I go now, London has a lot of really good gelaterias. A lot of London, England, there's a lot of Italians that moved to London, and there's some really excellent gelaterias. And I met one who was actually from Genoa, and I knew the place he had trained at, and we had a lovely conversation about it.
Are most people who own gelaterias that you've met in around the world not Italian?
No, most of them are Italian. Generally, there's more Italians than not, but I've met obviously some, like the gentleman here is from Lebanon, but more of them are from Italy.
And do you have a preference for northern Italy, for Sicily, for a particular region, Tuscan gelato?
No, there's excellent gelato everywhere in Italy.
And one message for our audience, it's been so hard for being Jewish after October 7 and all this hatred and anti-Semitism. So how do you think this story might give people a little bit of summer, fun, pleasure?
I hope so. If we focus on the bad stuff, it's really tough. And sometimes we need to focus on things that bring us pleasure instead. But obviously, it's been a very difficult year with all those things, particularly in Montreal with the restaurant that burned down.
And other things that happened in Montreal.
Yes. Yeah, all the demonstrations against Israel in Montreal, which are difficult to watch constantly.
So you're off to another trip now? We're going to see some new additions coming up?
100%. I've got a couple trips planned, one in September, one in October.
All Italy.
All Italy.
All right, so watch this space and we'll look at your map. Is there a name for the map if people want to Google, or it's by request?
I have an email I've set up, Peter Gelato Map. And if anyone emails me at Peter Gelato Map, be happy to send them the link. And my kids all want me to monetize this, and I've resisted it consistently because I do it for pleasure. And I just want to share it with people and have fun with it.
Okay, it's been really an honor to hear your journey and taste this unbelievable, which is now melting. We got to finish some a little bit. Gelato from our interview. First interview I've ever done, eating gelato. I think we should always do interviews with gelato.
I'd highly recommend it.
I think so, right? Thank you very much for being with us in our mobile Canadian Jewish News studio.
And that's what Jewish Canada sounded like for this episode of North Star, made possible thanks to Ira Gluskin and Maxine Granovsky-Gluskin's charitable foundation. Peter says he'll send you the link to his world map of gelato if you write to him, petergelatomap@gmail.com. And you can send us your favorite gelato spots, and if there are any kosher ones, let us know. We're at info@thecjn.ca. North Star was produced by Zachary Kauffman with Izzie Helenchilde, who also edited our lovely video of this story, which will be on the CJN's YouTube channel. Michael Fraiman is our executive producer, and Alicia Richler is the CJN's editorial director. Thanks for listening.